of previous winners, an extremely impressive list of previous winners there. And are we going to see a changing of a guard or somebody else? I mean, the previous two there, Kiplimo and Cheptegei, are of course here. Kamura not, but the other two definitely able to come back and add to their titles.
That'll be one of the great clashes of the day. Kiplimo up against Cheptegei. Cheptegei, the world record holder at 5,000 and 10,000 metres on the track. Kiplimo, the world record holder at half marathon and defending champion. The Ethiopians and the Kenyans may not find it quite as easy in this race. The men's 10 kilometres, 5 laps, remember, of 1,880 metres, so just over 10k the full distance. May not find it quite as comfortable as to get 1-2 as they did in the previous races. In the team race in particular, the athletes led out from the shade of the big marquee at the back there, top of picture, out to the start line. Last year, Kenya won with 22 points from Ethiopia's 32, with Uganda on 37. And Uganda had the gold and bronze medalist in Bathurst, but they had to wait for 15th and 18th places for their team to be closed. Otherwise, they might have finished higher than bronze. The first non-African born athlete last year was Las Heras of Spain. He was in 22nd place, and he is here as well. I wonder how he'll go today, if he can be the Grovdal of the men's race day today. Las Heras. That's Aaron Las Heras, just 23 years old. Well, let's have a reminder of the course here in Belgrade, in Friendship Park. That's the start straight, and then they head out onto the anti-clockwise lap. It's a long, elongated stretch there alongside the Danube River. Very flat, very fast, but with hurdles and a couple of bridges and a mud pit and the hay bales as obstacles to break up the rhythm. It is more challenging, and that's the complete lap. And then at the end of the 5th lap, of course, they will head back down that straight stretch to the finish line. Well, lined up and ready to go. The best cross-country exponents in the world. Plenty of athletes, of course, choose to stay away from these championships. They may have focused on the World Indoor Championships recently, the indoor circuit, or indeed on the roads, or perhaps just targeted the Athens Olympic Games and their preparations for that a few months away. Well, as in previous races, let's take a look at some of the best. There is Joshua Cheptegei, the winner in 2019 in Aarhus. He was 3rd last year in Bathurst. He's the world record holder at 5,000 and 10,000 is the Ugandan. 3 times a world champion at 10,000 metres on the track.
And his compatriot, Jacob Kiplimo, just 23, defending world cross-country champion, and of course won the juniors back in 2017, Olympic and World Championship bronze at 10,000 metres to go with it.
For Spain, Thierry Ndikumwenayo, he's the Spanish champion, the former Burundian. In 2022, he ran 7:25 for 3,000 metres, one of the fastest ever. He could be competitive in that Spanish vest.
And Mahawi Mebratu of Eritrea, just 20, and the 2022 World Junior Silver medalist. Over 5,000 metres, he was 19th in the 10,000 metres in Budapest in the recent World Championships.
Anthony Rotich, perhaps the best of the Americans. A great 10,000 metres debut. 2 weeks ago, he ran 27:08. He's in very fine form. He was 2nd in the US cross-country championships recently.
And can he challenge the Ugandans? Berihu Aregawi, 23, world record holder over the 5 kilometres on the road, and silver in Bathurst last year.
That is a formidable lineup. This promises to be a fabulous race as the officials get them in place.
It's the biggest field of the day with 121 athletes there.
Yes, 121 athletes from 39 nations. Kenya, the defending team champions from Ethiopia and Uganda last year in Bathurst. And it will be very, very quick here. The surface is good. The going is generally very good. It's very dry, the surface, although apparently they had quite a lot of rain last week. But this will be tough. 5 laps, as for the senior women who completed their race just a few minutes ago. And I wonder whether it will become that domestic clash between the two Ugandans, Cheptegei and Kiplimo, or if some of the Kenyans will be able to get in there and challenge. We actually didn't have a Kenyan in that lineup, Paula, which is extraordinary. Some of the names introduced to us there, but they will be very much up there, I suspect.
I think from the previous race, the Kenyans certainly showed that their concentration was on the women's race in terms of the calibre of athletes turning out. I think a lot of the top calibre, their best runners perhaps choosing to get ready for spring marathons or not to come to these World Cross Country Championships. So the challenge, if you like, being taken up and led at the moment by Rono, who's leading the Kenyan challenge at the front. Well, not quite at the front, but somebody's gone off a little bit too quickly.
We should all watch out for Ishmael Kirui in the Kenyan colours, because he was the World Junior Champion last year in Bathurst. He won the under-20 race for men, and he is still 19 years old, but we got a couple of surprise results earlier on in the day as one of the Indian athletes. But did he miss the start? He's way behind everybody else. I wonder if he was caught short and not ready for that gun. Or is he? He's out in front. The one who's gone out in front. Oh. How fast has he covered his first half mile? 2 minutes on the clock.
Too fast.
Probably a PB for 800.
I think the rest of the field wisely decided that's too quick and not a pace that can be maintained over the 5 laps here today. I think that the men's race, it certainly makes it a closer race, dropping that distance down, as we've seen recently from the previous 12 kilometres to 10 kilometres of quick racing, and it's really just a chance for the majority of the athletes in this, not for Gurjar of India, but just to consolidate on this first lap and just to get a feel for actually racing at speed over this course. They will, of course, have walked around it previously and taken time to study the different technical elements of this course and work out how they're going to go through those, but it's a completely different thing going through it at pace in the middle of a pack.
Well, this is utterly bizarre by Hemraj Gurjar. Twice Indian cross-country champion, but he's never broken 30 minutes for 10k. 5,000 best is 13:45. And talk about grabbing your few seconds in the spotlight, with all due respect. I mean, that's a lead of about 80 metres, and I'm not sure it's going to last too long.
Well, that's strange, but also going back to the main group, and that's now Mehdi Frère, who's moved to the front of that. I mean, he has run a phenomenal marathon personal best this year, but still he would not be expecting to be, in essence, leading the World Cross Country at this stage. And I really think that this race has not unfolded as the men have been expecting in this. They would have been expecting it to perhaps get going a little bit faster here today. And so now there's a little bit of confusion out there, and it's taking a bit of time to settle down. And there is Kiplimo, where is Cheptegei?
Cream rises to the top, and I'm sure it will here. I bet you in 2 or 3 minutes' time things will become a little bit clearer. Maybe, though, they've had some warning sights from the women's races, and they are trying to run a cautious race here, some of the bigger names, realising that actually it's not about who leads in the first few laps, it's about who leads over the last lap that really matters. The Ethiopian Debele, Chimdesa Debele, he was 11th last year, part of that silver medal winning team for Ethiopia. He's a 27:10, 10,000 metre guy, only 20 years old, tucked into second place now as Gurjar begins to get reeled in. I know there's a foreshortening effect from the camera there, but I think Gurjar's race is run.
Yeah, I think he's already been swallowed up and about to be swallowed up by the entirety of that pack, and yeah, a very, very rash decision there.
Cheptegei just beginning to eat through, back in about 20 place at the moment, as Debele, who was 4th in the Ethiopian cross-country championships and recently ran 60:23 in Barcelona for a half marathon. It's got plenty of speed, it's got plenty of strength endurance. As I said, he's run a 27:10 on the roads. Indeed, his track PB, and you see this nowadays, Paula, don't you? His track PB is 27:46. His road PB is 27:10. Used to be the other way around.
It did used to be the other way around, but now with the advent of shoes and the improved efficiency that they bring, as well as the recovery and the saving of the legs, we're seeing a reversal, aren't we? And it's actually now possible to qualify for a track race where you have to race in spikes, wearing road flats, well, not really flats, but wearing road racing shoes, and be able to run a time fast enough to qualify you for a track race.
He doesn't look like he's moving that fast. He's a big fellow. He's got a long, loping stride, but he's staying ahead of the world at the moment, although I think they're gradually closing on him. 3era France in second place. This is the Sava bridge, the second of the two bridges on each lap, so that pretty much denotes the end of the first lap. 5:57 for lap 1. Say good. The Eritreans are up there, Mebratu and Kibron, that's looking good.
Las Heras of Spain right up there as well. Got Rotich for the USA.
Las Heras was the first of the Europeans last year in the heat of Bathurst in 22nd place. So a real old mix there. For the first time today, really, we've seen quite so many nations in the top 20 after a lap of the race, but 4 laps to come, the meat of the race yet to come.
Second, still obviously packed fairly close together, but nobody seems that concerned about allowing Chimdesa Debele of Ethiopia to kind of move away at this point. There's not a huge response, a little bit now of surging, a little bit of athletes starting to say, okay, this is somebody we probably do need to sit up and take note of and cannot allow to build up too big of a lead at this stage in the race.
I've got an answer to your question. The first lap in the men's junior race, under 20 race, 5:54. And the first lap in this race we're watching now, the senior men, 5:57. So, yeah, that's proof, if you need it, that the senior men's race has gone up very, very steadily, almost tactically slow.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if there are tactics coming into play. Without a doubt, the heat has climbed a little bit. I don't think there's been a huge difference from those earlier races. I think it's just a different and a little bit of confusion, as I say, from the other athletes, because I just think they're not sure, because they expected to see Kiplimo at the front. They expected to see Cheptegei. They expected to be having to respond and react. And instead, they're just sitting back and letting the race unfold at this point.
Halfway round this second lap, then. This final race of the day at these 45th World Athletics Cross Country Championships, coming to you from Friendship Park in Belgrade, the capital of Serbia. And a strange tactical race unfolding. 1.5 laps of 5 run so far, but that big pack, look, about 25-30 strong, reflects the rather cautious nature that's been approach that's been taken by many of the big names. The gloves will come off, no doubt, in the second half. Kiplagat, Kiprotich goes through as well, but the big names from Uganda that we're expecting to feature early on, that was Martin Kiprotich, Jacob Kiplimo and Cheptegei, the gold and bronze medalists from last year in Bathurst, Australia. At the moment, just tucked into that leading 15 or 20. Biding their time. There's Kiplimo to write a picture. He's the world record holder for the half marathon. Kiplimo, his half marathon best is a quite astonishing 57:31. That was in Lisbon back in 2021. He's well, he's got just about everything. He's the defending champion, has that world record. He's run 12:41 for 5,000, 26:33 for 10,000. He's wonderfully fast. He ran the double when he won the Commonwealth Games 5,000 and 10,000 in Birmingham 2 years ago. He's a great racer, great speed too. Cheptegei's got surprising speed. You know, it's easy to forget that Cheptegei, world 5,000 champion.
Yeah, I think when you're world record holder at 5 and 10, then you have undoubtedly got that speed, but he's got that ability to sustain that speed over a long period of time as well. Was beaten fairly convincingly over 10k on the road recently, but not by somebody who's here racing today. That was by Kajalska.
Debele on 11:31. And yeah, look at the number of athletes within just a couple of seconds. It goes on and on. Strinzos of Australia is up there having a good run at the moment. And there's still a very, very steady, loping rhythm to this front pack, isn't there? I mean, you know, it's deceptive from the front. And you see it side on, and they are big strides, and they are shifting. But nobody has really yet said, no, I've had enough of this. I get the feeling somebody's going to lose patience soon and kick away from this. We may see some impressive acceleration pretty soon.
Yeah, I think so, because that is a big, big group, and it's almost like, it's almost like they took the collective decision, let's just not, it's warm today, let's not warm up in advance, maybe just warm up on our first lap and then we'll just get started and do some proper racing.
Well, I was going to say, a couple of laps warm up. I mean, if the first lap was slower than the under 20 men's first lap, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? But you can see there all the big names. Now, Las Heras has gone from 7th to 26th after the second lap, so he's had a maybe overcommitted in the early stages himself, the best of the Spanish.
He's actually not the best of the Spanish at the moment either, because he's been surpassed by Thierry.
There's been a sort of unspoken understanding amongst this top 10 and 15 that an acceleration is due, and they have picked it up. Kiplagat of Uganda, they're right in the centre, has certainly pushed on the tempo this last couple of minutes. Rono now for Kenya, too, does his stint at the front, and I think it is thinning out. Look at that top-up picture. You've got literally a single-file stream of about 8 or 10 athletes who are suddenly realising they need to up their game. Gideon Rono, just 21 years old, was third in the Kenyan cross-country championships. He's one of those athletes, and I think there's 3 in the Kenyan 6 here, who are based in Japan. They become, I would say, wonderfully disciplined, more cerebral runners, and he's a great young talent. 13.16, he's run for 5,000. Rono, 27.11, he's quick at 10,000, he's got speed, he's got strength, and you can bet that he will have been told to really think about his racing tactics here as he begins to ease away, top of picture, from this pack of about 15.
He's again starting to break away. It is a surge being thrown down, but you can see athletes further back just realising that and kind of jumping and leapfrogging. The athletes ahead of them who have noticed the move but decided not to react at this point.
So Emmanuel Bourg go through there for the USA in about 30th place, but yeah, I think the trouble is that if there's an acceleration from the front and you're some way back and there's a lot of bodies in front of you, by the time the message that the pace has accelerated to the front gets back to you, there's 100 metres gone and they're away, and you're slow to react. It's like anything, if you're not right there and able to react quickly, a delayed reaction can really be a big disadvantage because you lose many metres.
And it's hard as well on a day like today, isn't it, when it's warm out there and you start off at a steadier pace, to then suddenly pick up the pace is actually hard, because athletes can be kind of lulled into a rhythm that feels okay, and then it feels really uncomfortable when you suddenly have to lift that pace. And if you throw in 2 or 3 of those, then it really starts to ask questions of baseline fitness and of just being able to respond and be in a position to be able to react.
Now, I think Gideon Rono is building up a lead of some 30 or 40 metres, and I think Cheptegei there, the world record holder at 5,000 and 10,000 metres, has suddenly realised that this could be a serious athlete down in front, and he's picking it up and he's gradually accelerating and taking the rest with him. Remember, he went from rags to riches in 2017 in Kampala in front of the home crowd in Uganda. He led until the latter stages when he hit the wall and then collapsed and staggered across the line in 29th place, and then 2 years later he was the real deal in Aarhus, and he took gold, didn't he, ahead of Kiplimo rather.
So without a doubt, I don't think he's somebody who's going to overcook races in the future, because they do say the best way to learn is to get out there and make mistakes and learn from them, don't they? And the other of the Ethiopians up there towards the front as well. Debele is still there, but Boki Deriba is somebody that the Ethiopians have been talking about. I think it's in the taller athlete, just slotted in behind the 2 Ugandans at the front there. He's won the Ethiopian Championships and he's starting to make a name for himself there, and they have big hopes for him, and he's also decided this is too much now, let's work together, let's get...
Moment, well, that gap's, what, 40 metres or so, but you can see the charge there. They're like, almost like sentries, aren't they, either side of the course. Cheptegei and Kiplimo beginning to close him in a little bit, I think. The chase is on, there's no doubt about that, as they begin already to lap athletes.
Well, they're not too far away from coming into the final lap. They've got a little bit more of this section, a few twists and turns. They've got to go through the mud bath yet, but they certainly are, with every step, working together, running alongside each other, but making inroads on that lead and eating into it. But the others behind are right with them and able to close up every time it backs off a tiny bit.
Well, he's just 21 years old, Gideon Rono. It's been a fabulous effort from him mid-race to liven up what was a very sleepy first lap or so, quite frankly. But I think he's been reeled in now. And you could probably two of the greatest distance runners in history, Joshua Cheptegei and Jacob Kiplimo, are closing him down. He hasn't looked behind. I haven't seen him glance over his shoulder yet. He's just running what is for him is an optimal pace.
You should see how many Kenyans are out on the course shouting to him. He doesn't need to look behind because he's getting that information from them. But from that overhead shot through the mud bath, it was really impressive just to see how Rono's cadence was interrupted by that mud section. Cheptegei and Kiplimo pretty much just floated through it and just showed their class as cross-country runners through that section.
Some athletes have that capacity to do it. I remember running in the World Cross back in '89, a very muddy course, and the rest of us were ploughing through puddles, and John Ngugi was up in front by about 100 metres, and I would swear he was walking on water. He just cruised across the mud and the puddles. It made me very angry actually at the time. I was still not happy about it. There was something going on. It was quite astonishing. So yes, some athletes can cruise over rough ground very, very easily. Ngugi was one of them, and I think you're right, Cheptegei and Kiplimo both have that quality too. But it has picked up markedly. Look, we're down to 2, 4, 6, 8, about 9 athletes in this breakaway. 2 by 2 there for the top 8 as the 2 yellow vests, as predicted, Cheptegei and Kiplimo hit the front with about a lap and a half to go. Less than that, actually, as they're coming towards the end of this 4th lap. Not much more than a lap to go. They'll hear the bell very shortly. And it has been a wonderful sort of warm-up, the first 2 or 3 laps, Paula, to this second half of the race. As they go over the bridge now, there we go, 5:20 that lap. The opening lap was 5:57. That was with the start straight as well, but Cheptegei and Kiplimo side by side. It's just the way we wanted it to unfold.
It is, and I think this one might be a little bit quicker, even with that added section into the finishing straight. And Berihu Aregawi has also quietly worked himself up into that lead group. So probably most of the main contenders that we expected to see at this point in the race are there, but I think we're going to see a scintillating race over this last lap because it has taken so long to unfold.
It has created more jeopardy though, hasn't it? Because nobody's cleared out early on. That is a big pack. They've just heard the bell. 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 10 athletes in picture, and any of them could spring a surprise. It would be a surprise if Cheptegei or Kiplimo were not the winner. But who knows, because they have chosen for it to unfold this way. It's almost like they want to test their strength over the final kilometre or so. They negotiate that little boxed concrete piping and head out towards the top end of the course, and then take the turn at that end where there's music blaring and head back down alongside the Danube.
Kiplimo it is who's doing the majority of the work, just trying to push on, isn't he? Trying to break away, just to gradually. I don't think this is a hard surge, but this is just a gradual pick up, and slowly they're starting to just lose little bits of ground. He's certainly stringing out that group.
Well, Joshua Cheptegei is Olympic champion at 5,000 metres. I think I said earlier he was world champion. Of course, that's Ingebrigtsen. But Kenya leading the team race from Uganda, but 20 points to 27. So everything to run for the athletes in yellow and red. And you're right, we haven't mentioned Aregawi until the last few minutes because he really hasn't featured, but now he's there. The silver medalist last year, he split the two Ugandans. And now it's single file for the first time, and we're down to 5. 9 within 2 or 3 minutes has become 5. And Aregawi has got to close up here because this is almost track racing, the speed they're going to be moving at this next 2 or 3 minutes.
And we've got in there, we've got Cheptegei, who's the world record holder at 5,000 metres. We've got Aregawi, who's the world record holder at the road 5K. And so much speed in there, and still it falls to Jacob Kiplimo to try and use that strength of his. Still trying to hurdle, choosing to hurdle both. I think it's Kiplagat who chose not to. He chose to hurdle one in the Tim Hutchins technique of hurdle one and goes around the other chicane on the other one.
Well, Kiplagat in second place is to be respected. He's World Junior 5,000 champion back from 2021. He was only 5th in the Kenyan trials, but he's another of those Kenyans based in Japan. 27.09 is run for 10,000 metres. Kiplagat And the Ethiopian there beginning to ease past him. Aregawi lengthens his stride for the first time. The fact that we haven't seen him, Paula, before this in the race makes me wonder whether or not he's unleashing something rather special over this next 600 or 800 metres. He's going to need to catch Kiplimo.
Yeah, a little bit of a gap, and I was starting to get a bit confused if we'd actually missed him because we were concentrating so much on Kiplagat behind. But seems like Kiplimo might actually have lost. Maybe it's our computer's just lagging. I don't know if he'd lost his chip there, but he's certainly leading.
No, Kiplimo's still leading. Centre of picture. Aregawi in second place, Kiplagat in third. Cheptegei at the moment back in about fifth and looks to be struggling a little bit because Kiplimo, the defending champion from Bathurst last year, world record holder in the half marathon, Olympic bronze medalist at 10,000, double Commonwealth champion 2022, has got it all, and he looks so relaxed. And you know what? He has a tendency to smile in the latter stages of races, which would annoy you if you could see it, but if you're behind, you can't see it. But doesn't he look? He looks so calm.
He looks really good, and you know what's working in his favour as well as other lapped athletes, because for a moment there, I think Aregawi had actually lost sight of the fact that it was Kiplimo ahead, and he was looking for him amongst the lapped athletes, and that really worked in his favour in terms of being able to open up that gap that you can now see from that overhead shot.
Well, Jacob Kiplimo then looks like he's heading for a retention of his title from Bathurst last year. He won in Australia by 7 seconds. Here today, after a difficult 2023, where he began to get form back in November when he ran a world best for 15 kilometres in Nijmegen, 41.05, so the strength was back after several months of injury in the middle of the year. So he is back to his best. Climbs that final bridge, the Sava Bridge, and in his final race of the day here in Belgrade, it is another champion retaining his champion status as Kiplimo is in the home straight and away. That gap is 25 metres back to Aregawi, last year's silver medalist from Kiplagat of Kenya. He may be taking another silver medal, Aregawi, but I'm sure he can't catch Kiplimo over this last 150 metres. It is brilliant running from Jacob Kiplimo. He's done the least work necessary just to ease through to the front over the last lap and then pull away with a big acceleration. And he's made it look relatively easy against a field of the very highest calibre. Into the last 50 metres now, Jacob Kiplimo. He's still only 23. He has the world at his feet. He has the world's best distance runners behind him as he becomes world cross-country champion once again here in Belgrade. His time unofficially 28.09. Aregawi takes silver once more as in Bathurst. Kiplagat a brilliant bronze. Kenyans in 4th and 5th, and Cheptegei 6th on this occasion. Last year's bronze medalist. Kenyans, I think, have taken the team race pretty comfortably. That's, what's that, 5 and 10 though? Confirmation of that winning time, 28.09 for Kiplimo from Aregawi and Kiplagat.